as he journeyed, it came to pass that he drew nigh unto Damascus. And suddenly there shone round about him a light out of heaven. I've always been jealous of those people who have been in contact with the divine. Not because I believe in God, but because due to some chemical reaction in the brain, certain people are able to experience something that they would describe as the divine. This is called a religious experience. It's defined quite ambiguously by one William James circa 1917 as a noetic, passive, transient and ineffable personal event, and according to Michael Persinger, is most often experienced by those with some sort of religious belief. And it has something of the magical about it, a certain mystery. Witchcraft, aliens, spells, sorcerers, fae and lizard people, things to be scoffed at, but faith is the last vestige of the fairy tale. And what if this is a false dichotomy? To put your faith in some god or to be exiled to watch from the outside? What if there was a way to engage with the divine without the need for faith? This is Apostle Paul. You've likely heard of his letters to the Corinthians, but before that he was Saul. The story goes that he travelled 130 miles from Jerusalem to Damascus and, upon arriving at the gates, saw the light of God, was thrown from his horse, and had a religious experience. The God is Dead, Long Live God project is currently working on building a system for recreating the events of such an experience in order to understand what took place empirically and how that can be repeated in a controlled system. What you can see being strapped unceremoniously to my head here is part of a system designed to put the user in a mind state that allows them to experience a similar physiological sensation to what Saul would have felt at the end of his journey to Damascus. The headset was based on technologies derived from research by more intelligent people than I, and aimed to prime the brain for religious experience through sensory deprivation and transcranial magnetic stimulation. The idea that because the brain communicates with itself by using electricity, its normal functioning can be disrupted using electromagnetic fields centered over certain parts of the cranium. This could put the user in a state similar to a hypnagogic state, the space between being asleep and fully conscious. Now, as I said, the headset functioned to get the user primed to have a religious experience. But that was also the problem. The subject was primed, but there was no trigger. This is where Paul comes in, with his exhausting horse ride and subsequent fall. If I could recreate such a journey, combined with the headset so far experimented with, could I also have a religious experience? I spoke with Roberta, a riding expert, to better understand the journey.
I am Roberta. I work at the stables for 1 year now. I'm a horse rider and instructor. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I've been riding for 23 years.
She told me 3 main pieces of useful information: how to fall off a horse, and what Saul would have experienced on such a journey, as well as how I could recreate it.
No, you don't fall from a stationary horse. You have to throw yourself out of a stationary horse. You fall off from the movement. So unexpected movement, a bucking. What I would say is just relax, because if you get tension on your muscles, that's when you hurt yourself. So relax and try to roll on the ground when you fall.
Apparently you don't fall off a horse, as they are quite thick and hard to slip from. You are thrown from a horse. As such, the light of God that Saul and his men saw is likely what would have spooked the horse into bucking him off. But if one has to fall, it's best to do it as relaxed as possible. Secondly, the way Roberta usually gets people to train for long horse rides, of the sort Saul would have been attempting, is to cycle, as similar muscles are being used, namely the legs and core.
You're moving a lot, you're using your core strength, you're using your back, you're using your leg muscles. So I always advise to at least do some fitness exercise like running or cycling, just so you have like physical prepare and you can breathe enough.
Thirdly, she said Saul would have been exhausted, would likely have had sunstroke and dehydration, as well as a possible concussion from his fall. In her words, he was insane.
Yeah, no, that's insane. See, that's insane. I wouldn't do that. I ride every single day for hours. I wouldn't do that.
A cycle ride of similar distance looks to exhaust the subject to the same degree as Saul would have been after such a journey, the effects of exhaustion having some significant influence over one's ability to have a religious experience, whilst a startling event causing a fall from a horse-like structure acts as the final trigger. The startling event would have to be auditory, as to get myself into the mental state most likely to have a religious experience, I would need to be blinded by the headset. And he fell upon the earth, and heard a voice say unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecute thou me? Almost immediately after turning on the magnets and the red light and putting on the goggles, someone or something was beside me. No, not just beside me, but rather moving behind me as though trying to get a look at both sides of my face, leaning in on my shoulder with intent to whisper in my ear. Shadows moved on the edges of my vision. I could feel it moving, watching. And then the shadows moved inwards, the thing waving some appendage in front of my face, between me and the red light, testing whether I'd respond, or perhaps looking for a response. A child trying to get the attention of a parent lost in thought. Then the sense of some very large, pitch-black thing moving just beyond the small boiler room which I've set my equipment up in. And it was gone. If there was one moment where I had a religious experience, one moment where I felt I'd come in contact with the divine, it would be this moment. That leaning figure, there's something incomprehensibly huge outside my makeshift lab. This is the closest I've come to facing God. Now this didn't work as such. I didn't have a religious experience when I fell from the horse. I did not see the divine. But neither is this project finished. It is the tragic step 1. This is WD-01, 39 attempts away from the legendary WD-40. God is dead, long live God is a process, a practice of investigation and responsive material design, and so, whilst this attempt may not have succeeded, this is just episode 1, and there is a whole series left to go.